Hey guys, and today I'll be showing you a tactic in the endgame called triangulation, and let's see some examples. Triangulation is basically when you move your king in a triangle so you reach the same position as here, but it would be your opponent's move. Let's see how that can help us. For example, in this position, some people who don't know how to use triangulation just move their pawn to c6, and here the king can just go back to c8, and after we take his pawn, he can take our pawn back, and after we protect our pawn with our king over here, he can just move his king back, and it would be a stalemate because after king to c6 and king to c8, we give a check with our pawn, he brings it back, and this is a stalemate because we cannot bring our king back. If we do, he'll just take the pawn and it would be a stalemate, and we cannot keep the king here because everything else is blocked by our pawn and he can't move anywhere else. So this is where triangulation comes into play. Over here, we use triangulation and we move our king in a triangle. So that is king to e5. We want to move to d4 and to d5 while keeping the opponent's king over here so we can win. So for that, the king will come to c6 because he wants to take this pawn, but we don't want to let him take that pawn. So while using triangulation, we protect this pawn by moving our king to d4. Note over here that his king cannot come to b5 because if his king comes to b5, we can continue with the triangulation and he wouldn't be able to move back to c6, and we can eventually go and take his pawn, and we can promote our pawn to a queen and win this game. So he will have to move back because he has no other option. So he moves back and we move our king to d5 and we complete the triangulation. As you can see, it is the same position, but it's black's turn now, and white will have an advantage because after something like king to e7, king to c8, king to d8, we can just move our king forward and force this king somewhere and just take uh, his pawn and win the game. So let's look at a few more examples so you can really learn how to use triangulation. So this is another example. So over here, it's black's move. So we use triangulation over here because we cannot move anywhere else with our king, and it's basically a stuck game, and we don't want to move a pawn forward because he can just take it with his pawn. So we use triangulation over here, which is king to h5. We want to complete the triangle like so. We can use any way of triangle. We can even go like so, and that would still be a triangulation. You just have to make a triangle with your king so that it will be the same or a position close to the position it was. So we use triangulation. We move to h5. Over here, white would move his rook to give a check. We just continue with the triangulation. We don't even care about what he wants to do. We just move our king back to g6 to try and complete the triangulation. It will be finished once we move to g5. Here the rook has to come back to b2 because if he doesn't, we can easily promote a pawn to a queen, and as our rook is protecting our pawn, he will have to give up his rook for a pawn and we would win the game. So after he moves to b2, we complete the triangulation by moving to our king to g5. He'll have to move his king somewhere, and he can move it to e3, e2, f2, g2, anywhere he would like to move. We will just bring our king over to g4 and block off his positions h3 and f3, which were really important for him. So he moves back to f2 here. We continue with g2, and here the king can do a number of things. He can either just come back to g2 and then we bring our pawn forward like so, and then he will take, we will take, and we're attacking this pawn, plus we have a pawn over here and we'll get a free pawn which we can make a queen over there. And if he moves something like e3 instead of g2, he moves e3, then we can just snap this pawn with our king. And if he can't do anything about it, he can't go to f4 to try and go around and take. The only thing he can't do anything, sorry. So that's basically how to use triangulation in this case. This was the position, by the way. And let's check another example to show you how we can use triangulation. So this is another example, and over here we cannot move king to e3 because he can just move, black can just move king to e5, and we'll have to move our king back to e2, d2 or f2, and it would be good for black as he can just bring his king over to f4 and take our pawn, and while protecting this. So that's a bad move for white. As you can see, he can just bring it over. So here we use triangulation, so we reach this position while it's black's move, so he'll have to move back and we can take his pawn. So we want to reach that position. So for that, over here we use a triangulation. No matter where we go, f2 or d2, we just have to make a triangle. So we actually so we move to f2 over here. So over here the king is forced to move his the opponent is forced to move his king to e5, because if he goes away, if he moves to something like c6, we can come in with our king to e3 while completing the triangulation, and he will not be able to move his king to d5 because of a pawn, and we can just take this pawn and we'll have an easy win from there. So so from here he will probably he is forced to move e5, and after e5 we can complete a triangulation by moving e3, and now it's in the same position. It's black's turn to move, and he's forced to go back, and we can just take his pawn like so. So that's not a good move for that's not good for black. But black can be a little cheeky, and he can move something like e3. Over here it's bad to take his pawn, because after we take his pawn, he can bring his king back over and we're stuck again. We'll have to move our king somewhere, and he can just bring his king over, or his king over to here or there, and we will probably lose the game. So that's bad for us. So after this we would use triangulation again. So we move king to f3 because we want to make a triangle like this, like so. So we move king to f3, and he will promote his pawn. He will try to get a queen over here, but we take his pawn now. And after we take his pawn, black is again forced to move his king to e5, and after that we just come in with e3, and it's the same position, and it's black's turn, and he'll have to move back somewhere, and we can just keep forcing him to move back while taking his pawn and win the game eventually. So that's what triangulation is. I hope you found this video useful, like so, and be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all later.